absolute value. For a real number A, the absolute value is written as this right here. It's an A with two vertical lines around it and is a positive number. Two vertical bars around a number or expression are used to represent the absolute value of a number or expression. For example, and it gives you the absolute value of positive 5. The absolute value of a positive number is the positive number. Absolute value of 5 is 5. The absolute value of 0 is 0. Easy so far, right? Still going to be easy. The absolute value of a negative number is the negative of that number resulting in the positive. That's how it's written, but what it means is the absolute value of negative 5, that's 5. The absolute value of a positive number is the positive number. The absolute value of a negative number is the positive number. Absolute value can be used to represent the distance of a number from 0 on a real number line. So if we think about those numbers negative 5 and 5, they have the same absolute value because they're the same distance from 0 on a number line. So often we think of absolute value as how far a number is from 0 on a number line. Negative 5 is 5 units from 0. Positive 5 is exactly the same, 5 units from 0. So the absolute value of both of those is just 5. And this is kind of the definition at the bottom. In general, the absolute value of a real number, A, is defined as A, if A is greater than or equal to 0, and then negative of that if A is less than or equal to 0. And this little thing at the bottom actually is going to be most useful when we get into piecewise functions. So we'll have to keep that in mind. But basically for today, what you need to know is when you take the absolute value of a number, the answer is positive. And that's it. We're going to evaluate these expressions using absolute values. So this one says the absolute value of negative 4 minus the absolute value of negative 3. What's it equal to? Well, if we look at it piece by piece, what's the absolute value of negative 4? 4. Minus, what's the absolute value of negative 3? 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. So 1 is the answer. For the second one here, these absolute value signs act like brackets when you're talking about order of operations. So you do the stuff that's inside first, and then apply the absolute value. So we're not going to do absolute value of negative 12, and then do absolute value of 8 and add them together. We're going to do negative 12 plus 8 first. It's as if they're in brackets. The absolute value signs act like brackets. So we'll do the absolute value of negative 12 plus 8, which is negative 4. And the absolute value of negative 4 is 4. And the same thing with the last one. Do the stuff that's inside the absolute value sign first. 12 times negative 3 is negative 36. 5 squared is 25. This becomes the absolute value of negative 11. And that equals 11. Be careful when you're writing it out. See how I put the absolute value signs bigger than the ones? Because if you don't, it's going to look like 1 minus 111. You have to make sure that you make them larger vertical lines than what you draw your numbers, so that you can tell the difference between an absolute value sign and two ones.